All right, so get your calculator worksheet out. We're going to make corrections. When you make a correction, don't erase on your paper. You can just kind of lightly mark out the wrong answer, and then you can write the correct answer near it and then circle it. But whenever you make corrections, you don't want to erase. You want to see what your original answer was so that you can see if you get a different answer this time. All right, so have your calculator practice out. Also, you're going to want to, even if you got this right, I still want you to get your calculator, bring it up on your screen. If you're not sure where to find it, go to your Google Classroom. If you haven't bookmarked it, go to Classwork. Switch over to the Classwork tab up at the front or at the top. And then if you go over here to links, it's right here. So that's one way. If it were me, I would bookmark mine. I'm not sure how you do that on a Chromebook. We can help you though. I would bookmark mine and have it as a bookmark or something I use frequently, because after this unit we will use it more. All right. Everybody got their calculator up? Let's see if I can split my screen here. Okay, so let's take a look. We'll just go through, and if there's one that you need to correct, raise your hand and let me know. The answer to number 1 was 7/500, 0.75. Anybody need us to do that one together? I saw a few people miss number 2. Does anybody need to do number 2? Just raise your hand. Okay, so let's look at it. So it's 2 and 5/8. So to enter that, the first thing you have to do is enter the whole number 2. 2. And then you have to space over. So I hit my space bar. Space over. Now fraction, the A over B. There we go. The A over B, which is right here. And then your numerator is 5. And then go to your denominator. I use the arrow down button, or you can just use your cursor and then put an 8. Two and 5/8. Okay, so this is what makes this one tricky. When I click over here or click the enter, nope, I got to go back up here. Click that. It gives me an improper fraction for 2 and 5/8. And so, but we are looking for the decimal. So arrow down, get down here. So you can use this arrow down. Use this ANS button that says use the previous answer. Let's use that previous answer of 21/8, and it gives us our decimal right here, 2.625. If you missed that, your incorrect answer's in here. I might write mine right here, 2.625, and then circle it. Anybody need me to redo that one on what it looks like on your screen? So what's the important part about entering this fraction? Anybody tell me what you think was important? No one? It was super easy. If you were going to tell someone else how to do that problem, what might you say that was important to do in this problem right here? Yes. Yes, at first it had to be made into an improper fraction. So I think that what's important to keep in mind is I can't do the 2 and 5/8 because that looks like 25/8, right? So one of the important things to remember is to do 2 and then the space bar. And then you can do the fraction 5/8. And then we turn it to the improper fraction. We go down a row, and then we tell it use the previous answer, and then it gives us our decimal. To me, this one takes more steps than some of the other ones. Okay. Anybody need us to do number 3? So, did you miss number 3, or have you just not done it yet? Okay, well, we're going to let you try that one on your own, and then if you need help, we'll let you. So we're looking for ones that you missed. Okay, 4. Anybody need 4? Okay, let's look at 4. So it's 5.3 times 2 to the negative third power. So it's 5.3. I saw lots of people maybe use the multiply instead of the decimal. Times 2. Now, we need the exponent -3. That means that we need to either use the caret button, which is the shift and the 6, or I can just use this A to the B button and -3. And your answer is 0.6625. Now, in math, if you don't put this leading zero before the decimal, we don't normally mark that wrong. As long as you have the decimal 6625, the number's still the same with or without that 0 there. All right, 5. Anybody needs to work 5? 6. We need to, okay, so absolute value bars on number 6. So we can see we need to find the absolute value of -11. Now, most of us already know that answer because we've been working on absolute value. But to do the absolute value bars, it's this button right here next to the 7. It's the A inside the absolute value bars. So you click that first, and then you just say -11. And if you had more math to do, you could arrow over to get out of the absolute value bars, but we were done. So the answer is +11. Anybody need 7? 8. 9. Anybody miss 9? All right, let's look at 9. So those of you that got 9 correct, where would you suggest I start? Anybody have an idea of how to start this problem? So do you think I should just start 2 to the 4th power, or do you think I need to start somewhere else? I would prefer to start, because I can see this needs to be in fraction form with some numbers above and some numbers below the fraction bar. So I'm going to start with this A over B button. I'm going to start there. And then my cursor's in my numerator, so I'm ready to type. 2 to the 4th power is 2. I'm going to use this A to the B power button. And now my cursor is up in the top. It's superscript, and it's ready for the 4. 2 to the 4th power. Now I can just arrow down. I have to arrow down twice, because before, if I arrowed down once, it just got me out of my superscript where my exponent is, and I was still in the numerator. Arrow down, and now what is that? 2 times 2. And your answer is 4. Your answer is 4. All right, anybody need me to solve number 10? Okay, 10 got a reaction. Okay, where are we going to start on number 10? Well, we're going to start because we have a fraction. So we're going to start by using the fraction button, and then in the numerator we have absolute value bars. So we're going to just start with what we see first. What we see first is, let's clear all. We're going to start with the fraction. Then we're in the numerator. Now we need absolute value bars. -5 plus 3. We're in the numerator. Now we need to be in the denominator. 2. To get out of the denominator, because I need this plus, if I were to just hit the plus, I'm still in the denominator. Is that where that's supposed to be? Yes or no? No. So to get out of the denominator, I use the arrow over button. Now my cursor is where it needs to be. Plus -8. And your answer is -7. All right, anybody need us to work 11? 12. All right, let's look at number 12. Clear all? Number 12, we're going to start over here with this fraction. So I have to use this fraction button. 16, arrow down, 2, and to the second power, I can just use this a to the second power button. Okay, I need my cursor to come out from underneath the denominator, so I'm going to arrow over. Now I can say plus. Now what do I need to do? I need to know the absolute value of 10 minus 15. So I need the absolute value bars. And then it's 10 minus 15. And your answer is 9. Questions? All right. So the majority of the questions that we've seen have come and been involved in 13, 14, and 15. So we're going to work all of those together. So clear all. And so as we look, we're solving 3n squared plus n minus 8. But the problem with that is we can't solve that unless we know what the n equals. So we have to also use this second part of the problem, where n equals 4. So we have 2 lines, and we're going to enter that as 2 separate lines. So the first line that we're going to enter looks exactly like that. So we're going to say 3n squared plus n minus 8. And then we have an exclamation point and a triangle. We can't get the answer. It says too many variables. Try defining n. That means tell us what n is in math. So we're going to arrow down. And now we're going to enter this second line. All right, calculator, you want us to define n? Well, we're going to tell you that n equals 4. And so now we have an answer. Which one is our answer, 44 or 4? The 44. If we want to know the answer to this, then we have to look here. Our answer is 44. All right, everybody good with that? Let's clear. Let's do the second. Let's do number 14. Again, this one's 2 different lines. This is going to be line 1. And then on line 2, we're going to say a equals -2. So we're going to enter that as 2 separate lines. All right, here we go. 4a to the 4th power minus a plus absolute value bars -10. All right, I want you to make sure you have that entered in your calculator. Everybody enters it right now, even if you got it right. Doesn't hurt to practice it. Go ahead and enter it. 4a to the 4th power minus a plus the absolute value of -10. I want you to enter that. All right, and the calculator says we need to define a, so arrow down. And now let's tell the calculator that a equals -2. So what is our answer? Just shout it out when you see it. 76. Good. Our answer is 76. All right, try the last one. Clear. See if you can figure out how to put that one in your calculator. If you're watching this on video, pause the video and try it. And then come back and we'll look at your answer. Yes, it is. Anybody need more time? Here, look, Caleb. Okay. Good look. It's -5. Let me just put a 5 in. There you go. All right, what's the answer? Shout it out. The answer is 142. Let me just solve that really quickly. So 6s squared plus s minus fraction 12/4. Go down. S equals -5. You got to be careful with those positive and negative signs, and so our answer is right up here, 142. Questions? Okay, so if you've made your corrections before you leave, you're going to turn that back in to one of the teachers, and we will go in and we will enter your corrections. In the grade book, we won't normally do our corrections together, but since this was the first one, you can give us those. If you have not finished and you need to finish your other problems, you can finish it and then turn it in so that we can grade it. Questions? All right, so let's take a look. I'm going to close that. Let's take a look at some of our notes. We're going to start with some notes for the week. We're going to start with this page right here. You can close your Chromebook for now if you like. James, you can stay in that seat if you want. All right, so we have been talking about integers. We've been talking about absolute values. So we're going to get some notes in our journal to help us. How many of you had an interactive math notebook last year? How many of you used it to go back when you were having problems and you went back and you looked at things? That's what this is designed for. This is designed so that if you're at home and you're doing work and you're having trouble, it's designed for you to go back and have a place to look for help. So when I was your age, we had like math textbooks that we brought home every day. We don't really have those anymore. You've got your Chromebook and you've got your interactive math notebook. And so we want you to learn when you're having trouble or making corrections or doing work on your own, we want you to be able to go back to your notebook and get some help. So as you are working on your at-home work this week, some of you are going to be doing some word problems with integers. And so we want you to know which words are mean positive integers and which words mean negative. So a lot of these you know, some of them you may not. If we're looking on the positive word side, deposit. Does anybody know what a deposit is? So if I go to the bank and I have a check, say my paycheck, and I put it into the bank, that's called a deposit. Now, it seems like it might be a negative if I'm giving it away, but actually, if I'm depositing money, that means I'm putting it in my bank account. My bank account is getting bigger. That's a positive number, a deposit. Increase is positive. Forward. Ascending, that is like you're going upstairs or you're climbing a mountain. You're ascending means you're going up. That's a positive. If you've gained, above, up. Profit. Profit is when you make money above your expenses. So if you're running a business and you have to pay expenses to pay your rent and pay the electricity and pay the water and pay your employees, those are your expenses. And then when you take money in, you pay your expenses first, and any money that's left over is called a profit. That's a positive number. Add, accelerate. When do you think about accelerate? Anybody ever heard that word? So if you're driving a car, when you push the gas, the car accelerates. It goes faster. That's a positive. Elevation sounds like the word elevator, going up. Elevation is going up. That's like ascending. A score or a goal is a positive. Rise, raise, earn, and over. So some of those are common words, and some of them might be words that you haven't heard before. All right, so negative words. A withdrawal. So if you make a deposit in your bank account, that's putting money in. Withdrawal is taking money out of your bank account. Your bank account is getting smaller. Now, you do have the money in your pocket to do something with, but the whole point is you're taking money out of something. You're withdrawing, so that's a negative, and it makes your balance in your bank account smaller. Decrease, backwards, descending. So if ascending is going upstairs, then descending is going down the stairs, right? So that's a negative. Loss or loss, below, down. Debt, if you have debt, you owe somebody money, that's a negative. Subtract, decelerate, that is an antonym of accelerate. If accelerate's going faster, decelerate is going slower. Fall and dive. So there's room on here for us to add more words if we find more words that we want to put on there. But for now, this is a good starting list. Okay, put that to the back. We're going to look at this sheet next. So we're going to look at some of those words in real life situations. Now that we know some of the key words to look for, here are some situations that explain if the word problem is a negative or positive situation. So negative situations could be when temperatures are below 0 degrees, a loss of yards in football, when you owe money, elevations below sea level, withdraw money from a bank account, the basement floors of a building. I need to fix that typo. Of a building. I'm just going to put an F right there with that O. The basement floors of a building. Diving into the ocean or the stock market. If the stock market takes a nosedive, that's a negative. Positive. Positive is when you're depositing money into an account, going up floors on an elevator, gaining money in the stock market, temperatures above 0, or touchdowns in football. So one of the things that I want you to be able to understand is when we're talking about something above or below sea level. So that's one that maybe students hadn't really thought of before. So normally when we're talking about sea level, we would be using a vertical number line. It looks like this. So a lot of times we've seen that when we're talking about temperatures, because a thermometer, We can read it that way. Flip over your paper and draw this vertical number line. Whenever we're taking notes, if I draw something, I want you to draw it. So just turn over onto the back. You're going to draw a vertical number line. Somewhere in the middle, you're going to draw 0. So one of the situations I want you to understand is when they talk about sea level, they're talking about the surface of the water. So the surface of the water is sea level, and that is at 0 feet. So right here, if I was swimming right along the top, swimming, that's sea level, that's 0. If I dive down and go scuba diving and I'm down here, what is this called? So if this is sea level, and that's 0, then down here is below sea level, right? And what if there was a boat on the water and I was parasailing behind it? And so I'm up here on a parasail being pulled along. That's not really something I do. But that would be called above sea level, right? So these are positives, these are negatives. Right at sea level is always what? 0. So that's just a picture I want you to be able to see in your mind, that the top of the water is the 0. Another time is when we're talking about going into a building that has a basement. So if you park in the parking lot and you walk into the building, that's going to be 0. That's going to be your lobby level. If you go to an underground parking garage, those are going to be negative numbers. That's a basement, would be negative. And then above, if you take the elevator up to the 5th floor, that's going to be 5 levels up. So when they're talking about a building, the lobby level is 0. The basement is your negatives. Going up into the floors is your positives. Okay? So that sometimes we just have to put those things into context. All right, so let's flip over our paper, and let's try some of these problems over here on the right. Using your word problem clues and real life phrases, decide where the below will go by labeling the letters on the correct blank next to the number line. All the blanks won't be used. All right, so where are we going to put 7 feet below sea level? At the -7, right? At the -7, we're going to put an A down there at -7. All right. I owe the bank $12. Where are we going to put that? Anyone? Caleb? -12. It is 7 degrees outside. Where are we going to put that? James? If it's 7 degrees outside, we're going to put that at 7, right? Good. My stock dropped 4%. Dropped is a negative, right? So we're going to put D right there next to -4. We rode the elevator to the 5th floor. So we went up, so that's a positive. So we're going to put that right here. We're going to put the F next to the +5. The football team gained. There's our word gained. Positive or negative? So gaining 3 yards is a positive, right? So we're going to put the G next to the +3. The dolphin dove 2 feet below sea level. Positive or negative? Negative. So H goes next to -2. And then let's create our own. So the numbers we have left are 4, 0, and -5. So which one of those do we want to create our own situation for? How about -5? How about I owe my teacher $5? Oh, that's great. Okay, if you want to create your own, you can. I owe my teacher $5, and so that would go next to -5. That's going to be an I. All right. Questions? Okay, so we do need to go, you need to have out your math notebook. So it's going to be that kind of plasticky one. It has your name up in the corner. It could be black, yellow, red. Before we put these papers in our notebook, I want to, in your notebook, if you flip through, we need to complete that absolute value notes page. So get past the calculator pages. Get your math notebook. Let's go. Quick, quick. You need this absolute value page. It's in your notebook. Okay. Anybody else not have theirs? After I write this page, I'll give it to him. He doesn't have his notebook, so we'll give him this page. Anybody else not have this page? Okay, so let's take a look. Absolute value. The absolute value of an integer is its distance. The word that goes on this line is distance. From 0. The distance from 0 on a number line. So for example, +5 is how many places from 0? 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So its absolute value is 5. -5 is how many places from 0? 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So +5 and -5 have the same absolute value. So I need you to write on your paper, absolute value is always positive. We're going to write that right here. Absolute value is always positive. Because distance is always positive. Absolute value is always positive because distance is always positive. All right, so looking down here at the absolute value, I know we've been doing that in IXL, so this should be easy. What's the absolute value of 8? Just yell it out there. 8. The absolute value of -1? 1. The absolute value of -5? The absolute value of 5? The absolute value of -6? The absolute value of -150? The absolute value of 6? The absolute value of -8? And the absolute value of 150. 150. So you'll notice that these two opposites, -150 and +150, those are called opposites. They have the same absolute value. because they are the same distance from 0. They're just on opposite sides of 0. Okay? All right, so we're going to look at how we would use absolute value bars in a math problem. So, number 1, the first math problem that we're going to try is, what is the absolute value of negative 8 plus the absolute value of 7? The absolute value of negative 8 plus the absolute value of 7. So you should already know the order of operations: PEMDAS, parentheses, exponent, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, right? So PEMDAS starts with parentheses. Parentheses is a kind of grouping. So PEMDAS really should be GEMDAS, grouping, and then exponents. And so you're going to solve any math that's inside of the absolute value bars before you do the absolute value bars. So any math inside of it. So the first thing we have to do is we have to say, what's the absolute value of negative 8? That is 8. And 8 plus the absolute value of 7 is 7. And 8 plus 7 is 15. So the first thing you have to do is find the absolute value. You should write that down if you don't have it down. The next problem that we're going to try is, what is the absolute value of 8 minus 5? So everything is already inside of absolute value bars. So you have to do the math inside before you can deal with the absolute value bars. Here there was really no math to do inside. We just did absolute value. Here we have to do the math first. So 8 minus 5 is 3. So then we find the absolute value of 3. And what is the absolute value of 3? 3. So our answer is 3. So just like parentheses, you do the math inside of it before you deal with the parentheses. All right, the last one is a little bit different. I'm going to draw a line here. 3. And we are going to say negative absolute value of negative 5. So this is saying, what is the opposite? This negative means opposite. What is the opposite of the absolute value of negative 5? So the first thing we have to do is deal with the absolute value of negative 5. And what is that? 5. And so what is the opposite of 5? Negative 5. So you solve the absolute value bars, and then you just move this over and put it right there. So your answer is negative 5. Questions? Okay, so what you're going to do is, in your journal, you are just going to open the back prongs, and you're going to put these 2 notes pages in the back. So in this order, this problem and then that problem. You're going to put those in the back of your notebook. And then super quick, we're going to talk about our schedule on that other piece of paper for the week. So you need to make sure that you're taking your math notebook home every day and you're bringing it back every day. If you need help, raise your hand and we'll come around. And while you're doing that, I'm just going to talk about our schedule for this week. All right, so we start here Thursday. We did our warm-up. We did our notes. We didn't quite get to the Quizlet. Studying the Quizlet and the live. We'll look at that tomorrow. Tomorrow, you're going to have a warm-up. We'll take some notes on adding integers, and then we're going to look at Boom Cards, and there's our link to Boom Cards. And then Monday, everyone will study Quizlet Live, their vocabulary words for 15 minutes. And then you'll be put in 2 groups. Some of you in group 1 will do IXL B4. The other group will do B5. You'll know because your posting will tell you which one you're doing in your Google Classroom. On Tuesday, all students again are studying your vocabulary words for 15 minutes. And then all students will do IXL C2. And then on Wednesday, there'll be a link in your Google Classroom to work on Boom Cards on integers. And we're going to look at how to log into the Boom Cards tomorrow. Okay, so if it were me, I would take this and I would put it in the front of my math notebook in that front pocket. So I've heard from a lot of people that they were not sure what to do at home. And so you need to be checking in on Monday. You need to check this Monday section and you need to do that math. Okay? Questions? All right, you can go ahead and start packing up.